Okay, in lesson 3 assignment, you are going to be hand tracing some code. So I want to show you what I'm expecting when you do that. So we are creating two functions. We have a function called main, and when I say function, I mean module. They're called, they're different words, but they mean basically the same thing for now. So we have our function main and we have our function add. Now, the idea is that whenever you create variables in a function, they only live in that function, right? So we have an x and a y in main, but this function down here called add does not know about the x and y up in main. So if we want this function add to know about those variables x and y, we have to pass them as arguments. And so when I call add, I'm going to be passing the contents of x and y, and those contents will be stored in the variables a and b while I'm in this function. Now vice versa too. Main does not know about this function add. So anything I do to these variables a and b while I'm in add will not affect x and y up here, right? They're like black boxes, and the variables belong just within those boxes, and the only way to share data is to pass them through arguments. And that's a pretty abstract concept, and it will take some time to really understand what's going on. So at any rate, the main function is the one that will start first, and we're just going to hand trace what our variables are doing. So this first line says create a variable x and assign it the value 1. So I'll put a 1 there. Y has not been assigned yet. It has not even been created yet. So it doesn't exist, so I'm going to put a question mark there. There's nothing going on with y. But in this next statement, it says y is assigned 3.2. Well, x is still 1, and now y is 3.2. And then it says display x, and then a space, and then y. So down here in the output, I'll display x, a space, and a y. And then on this line, I'm going to call add. I'm going to pass x and y. The x will go into a, right? So whatever is stored in x, which I didn't change x, it's still there, and right here I'm not changing x and y, so right here x is 1 and y is 3.2, but watch what happens, because the 1 will go into a, right, and the y, which is 3.2, will go into b. So now these are just copies. This is just a copy of the data. It's not the actual variable x and y. So then I'm in add now because I called add, and I'm going to set a to a times 2. Well, a is 1, so 1 times 2 is 2, and b is still 3.2. And then on this statement it says set b to 0. Well, I'm not changing a, but b will be set to 0. And then it says display a and b. Now notice I'm not going up here, right, and changing anything in x and y, because I'm still in the add function. So when I print out a and b, it'll print a 2, a space, and a 0. And then, so nothing changed, right? A and b were still 2 and 0. And then a and b are still going to be 2 and 0, and I'm going to return the sum of a and b. So I'll return 2 plus 0. So where does that value go? Well, it goes back to the place where I called that function. So when I called this function and it returns, that evaluates to the number 2. 2 plus 0 is 2. And then I will store that into y. So now y gets updated to 2. Okay, and I can put 2.0 just to make a note that it is a real variable with decimals, because we declared it as a real. And so then when I display x and y, it's going to display x, which is 1, and y, which is 2.0. And so on this line, the state of the variables is 1 and 2.0.